Welcome to the Learning Lab. My name is Roman Garcia. Today what we're going to be discussing is Therapeutic. Now, anybody out there that's seen this video who likes to see professional sports has probably seen Therapeutic and used and not even realize it. That's a tape that you see usually athletes place on their shoulders, on their necks, even on their low back. Now, in the rehab community, the idea is TheraBand or TheraTape. What it does is that it causes the muscles to contract in a certain way, and thus it increases or even protects the joints of the athlete who's using the tape. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the biology that's explained as what the TheraTape does when it's used, and I'm gonna explain an alternative theory. But before we do that, I have to explain to you first a simple physics term. Now, that term is, Carlos, if you come over here, I wrote it on the board over here, is called the Piezoelectric Effect. Now, you can come back to me. Now, all the piezoelectric effect is a property of a material that when it is exposed to a mechanical load produces an electric charge. That's what the piezoelectric effect is. Now, as we've discussed in prior videos, we discussed the idea of energy and how the body uses energy, how the body produces energy, and how the body uses energy to communicate within a cell community. Now, what I'm going to show you is the piezoelectric effect in an electronic device. Now, Carlos, if you come over here so we can show the folks. This is an electronic motherboard. I'm going to show you what the piezoelectric effect is. Now, this material right here is a piezoelectric material. Now, what you're going to notice is that when I put pressure on this material, it's going to produce an electrical current, an electrical charge. And it's going to continue to produce it as long as I create mechanical pressure on the material. Now, observe these lights. I don't know if you want to turn off. You can see the lights turning on. I'm putting pressure on this piezoelectric material, and these lights will stay on as long as I keep putting pressure on this material. It won't stop. It's producing a charge. It's a flow of electrons. Now, the human body possesses this same effect when it's exposed to a mechanical load or a mechanical compression. My theory on why TheraTape works is that the tape produces a mechanical load on the area that it's over. By doing that, it's actually creating it's creating an effect where the area that's underneath the tape is producing a continuous electric charge. Thus, the area is being exposed to a flow of energy through its tissues. As long as there's compression on the tissues via the TheraTape, the body creates a consistent electrical charge, just like what I'm doing right now. These lights will turn on as long as I keep putting pressure on this material. You can see it does not turn off. My thumb is going to get tired before the lights go off, as long as I keep performing this mechanical load. This is the piezoelectric effect right here. You're seeing it. This is the piezoelectric material right over here. Again, I stop putting pressure and the current turns off. Now, look what happens. I just give it one pressure load. It will turn on. It's creating an electrical flow. Just keeps lighting. There's an electrical flow being produced inside the circuitry. But I stop with the mechanical load. Eventually, the energy is going to run out of the system. As you can see, the lights turn off. I get the material again, keep putting pressure, the lights do not go off. Now, what's the difference between this and a switch? Some of you out there that may have some experience with electrical devices may say, well, this is nothing more than just a switch. It's not. Let me show you what a switch is. This is a switch. This is a switch right here. This is system. This is not a piezoelectric effect. This is not a piezoelectric material. Now, I close the circuit, open the circuit, and the electrical charge goes off. The energy is not being produced from this material right over here as it is with that piezoelectric material. Again, I continue putting pressure on the material. It's just a switch. It has a limited energy supply. And you can see it turns off. And it turns off even though I keep putting pressure. This is a switch. Now, Carlos, you can come back to me. Now, this theory that's being used out there, that Therapeutic, it creates an increased muscle contraction whenever it's being used, in my opinion, is the wrong theory of why Therapeutic works. My opinion, the alternative theory, in my opinion, is that when you put the tape over a joint, you actually creating an energy flow through the tissue itself, because the tape itself creates a mechanical load, a mechanical compression on the tissue itself. Now, the other day I was working with a patient who came to us with arthritis in all her hands, and she showed me something very interesting, and I took a picture of it. Now, it's interesting that what I'm about to show you can be a result of this piezoelectric effect phenomenon applied to this woman's hands. Now, I took a picture, so let me show you. Carlos, if you can zoom in here. Now, this is her left hand. If you can observe, this is the pinky, ring finger, middle finger, index, and the thumb over here. Now, all her joints in her hand, I only took a picture of the left hand. I did not take a picture of the right. But trust me, the right hand had arthritis in all the digits. The only finger that did not have arthritis was the ring finger. And you can see it here. The pinky shows signs of arthritis in the proximal IP joint and in the distal IP joint. You can see these red blemishes here. The middle finger is obviously arthritic. The proximal IP joint, you can see how swollen it is. The index finger, you can see that, again, she has these bumps right here at the end, and the joint is actually also somewhat arthritic over here. And the thumb joint, you don't get a good view of the thumb joint, but you can see, and I can tell you that this thumb joint was also very arthritic. The only joint that was not arthritic in this patient's hand was the ring finger. Now, the question that I asked myself is why? Why was the ring finger spared arthritic changes? And the only thing that I can think of is the piezoelectric effect being produced by the actual compression of the ring itself. Again, one case does not prove a cause and effect relationship. But from here on, I'll be looking at everybody that comes to me with arthritis of the hands and looking if this pattern develops or repeats itself over and over again. Once I get a large enough sample size, then the correlation and the piezoelectric effect can start making more factual sense. But again, you can see here the ring finger, the only finger in both hands that was spared the arthritis. And the question I ask myself is why? Could it have been the ring that produced a compressive mechanical load onto this tissue, allowing energy to flow through easier through the ring finger? It's an interesting possibility. Now, we're going to go right over here now to my assistant, Anna, and I'm going to show you. You can tape every joint in the human body, but the hands are especially susceptible to arthritic changes. Now, there is in the market a tape that's called the kinesiology tape, and I as a matter of fact, I bought one in the morning so you can see. Now, Carlos, if you can come over here, this is the Therapeutic or the kinesiology tape. It's somewhat expensive. This tape costs $10. I personally like using simple, good quality athletic tape. This tape is just $3. In my opinion, this is an inordinate amount of money to pay for a tape when you can get the same effect from a good quality athletic tape, such as this. This is the Johnson & Johnson athletic tape. It's called Coach's tape. This tape costs $3. This tape, in my opinion, works just as well as this kinesiology tape. Now, I got two strips here so you can see the difference in consistency. The Therapeutic tape is very light, very thin, and it has somewhat like spandex in it. It stretches. There's a difference in quality and quantity of the compression using this tape versus the Johnson & Johnson athletic tape. My opinion, the cheaper version, the Johnson & Johnson athletic tape, Coach's tape, is far superior than this kinesiology tape. Now, I'm going to show you how you tape the fingers. You can get the same effect that the ring had on this patient's finger. It's real easy. There's probably many ways you can tape it, but the fingers are definitely joints that you want to protect. Now, what you do is, if you use the Johnson & Johnson athletic tape or the kinesiology tape, you tear it in half. Of course, depending on how long your finger is, the dimensions of your hand will dictate how long the tape is. But this is how you do it. You can start on the pinky side. You can start on the thumb side. Let's start on the thumb side. You start on one end. Now, you don't have to use this if you want to add protection, if you want to prevent arthritis from developing in your fingers. You don't have to use it all the time. If you're involved in an activity that involves gripping, pushing, heavy lifting, etc., or heavy gripping, then you use it to add extra protection. You start at the, like I said, you start at the thumb side, you start at the pinky side. I don't think it really makes a difference. You come around in a figure-8 fashion and you anchor it onto the base of the finger. Now, this Johnson & Johnson's Coach's tape has a con in it, so it allows, squeeze like this, open. You see, it adds. You're able to use this finger completely. Close. You can make a fist. Make a fist. Keep it like, déjalo así. Déjalo así. No, déjalo así. Déjalo así. You can see. You can make a foot. You can make a complete fist. You can open. It does not prevent you from using this finger at all. But when you use this tape, you're going to feel there is a load, there's a compression, there's a tension that you're going to feel on the skin of the finger that the tape is on. And when you do that, what you're actually doing is the cells that make up the joints, the cells that make up the tendons, the cells that make up the ligaments, you're bringing them in closer communication with each other, allowing electrons, protons to flow through the tissue matrix. In my opinion, that was the effect that ring had on that finger in that patient's hand. It created an environment where electron was able to flow from cell to cell. The cells were able to communicate with each other because of that piezoelectric effect that tissues possess. Because the body is basically composed of water, and we all know that water is a good conductor of electricity. So in essence, when you put the tape, you allow the colony of cells that make up the joints, you place them in a certain physical position relative to each other that allows energy to flow from cell to cell to cell. Thus, you keep the area healthy and structured and organized. Now, again, my opinion is that you don't need to buy fancy kinesiology tape. That tape costs $10. If you just get the good quality Johnson & Johnson Coach's tape, you're going to get the same effect, and in my opinion, even a better effect of a piezoelectric effect into tissues by using the Johnson & Johnson tape. Now, remember, in all our videos, there's a phone number underneath. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can leave your comment on the video, or you can just text me on that phone number. Again, for anybody who sees this video, if you have any questions, please contact us. You have a great day. Until next time.